today's video is really good for anybody that's a small business owner or entrepreneur, but it's really geared towards those of you who are new coaches out there. And any of you new coaches who have Googled what percentage of new coaches actually fail, you'll see that that number is really, really high. In fact, oftentimes you'll see 82% or 80%. Basically, it's the 80-20 rule out there, and 80% of you will fail. Now, it's actually why Ryan and I created Teach Me to Sell in the first place. And the main reason is that both Ryan and I were actually in the coach certification industry, and we've both been coaches. And in that space, we've started to see over and over again a repeating pattern as to why the 20% succeed when the 80% fail. And so that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Now, if you're new to the channel, then hey, I'm Kirk Van Linden with Teach Me to Sell. And this is a great place for coaches, entrepreneurs, mentors, consultants. This channel is for you if you have a small business and you're out there wanting to influence people, especially in a service capacity. So with that, let's jump right into today's content. So what I want to do is just take it one step at a time. And I'm going to tell you some of the big obvious things that are different between those that fail and those that succeed as a coach. Your definition of success really is all that matters when it comes to winning and failing, right? I've met multiple seven-figure coaches, and they're still growing. 7 figures. That means they're making $1 million or more a year as a coach, by the way. And they didn't do that in the first year. I haven't yet met a single coach to make $1 million in their first year. I have, however, met multiple coaches who have made 6 figures within their first year, many times over. So making $100,000 or more a year is very, very attainable as a coach. Making hundreds of thousands of dollars is also very, very attainable as a coach. So what I'm really talking about when I say failing, it means that you decided to be a coach, you did whatever, maybe you went and got a certification to become a coach, or you just put up a sign and said, I'm a coach. Either way, within 3 years or less, you are no longer a coach. You've stopped even trying for that dream. You've decided that it's a failed experiment, and you've either gone on to get a job, or the big picture is that you're not out there helping people as a coach, okay? Now, your definition of being successful as a coach might be making $1,000 a month. It might have you might be saying you want to have 1 client per month, and that would be success. It might be 10 clients per month, and that would be success. The success is arbitrary. It's specific to you, whatever you want, right? So what I'm really talking about are those coaches that especially those of you who have gone out and obtained a coach certification from an accredited, or even not accredited, but from an accredited school. You've decided to be a coach. You spent $10,000, somewhere between $5,000 and $15,000, depending on how intensive or how comprehensive the school was that you went through. And at the other end of it, you had probably that school's certification. And then once you complete all of your necessary hours, then you can also have the ICF accreditation of some sort. Especially for those of you who have gone through and already made a huge investment in this dream of yours, I'm definitely speaking to you today. Now, the big one that right out of the gate that I see the difference between those that succeed and those that fail actually starts with your certification. Now, I'm not making an argument that you need a certification, although I find great value that comes from going through a respectable and competent school, especially one that's accredited through the ICF. That's a great way to sift through all of the school options that are available, or all of the certification options. Are they accredited with the ICF or not? It's basically a set of standards that the school abides by and reports to and is very public about when it comes to how they're training and what they're training for you. Now, one big thing in that space isn't getting the certification or not getting the certification. One reason that so many, 80% or so of coaches fail, is because they put too much importance on the certification itself. Think of the certification as similar to a driver's license, okay? So you may or may not have gone through some kind of driving school that ultimately prepared you to take the test that showed that you were now competent enough to drive a motorized vehicle, a car, a truck, an SUV. Now think about that driver's license. Now that you've finally gotten the driver's license, does that guarantee that you're not going to get into a wreck? Does it guarantee that if you were going to plan a trip from California to New York, that you have everything that you need in order to get there on time and safely? Well, think about that actual trip. The driver's license can't even take you from California to New York because you need a car, right? And so if you don't have an actual vehicle to get from A to B, the driver's license is somewhat worthless until you can obtain a car, right? Or a truck or an SUV. In addition to that, for your trip, there's some sort of planning or navigation on your part that you need to be aware of or know how to do. You can't just leave your driveway in California, making an assumption that you're living in California now, but you're leaving your driveway in California. If you don't know anything about how to navigate in the roads and getting onto and off of a freeway and all of that, you're gonna have a hard time. I don't care how new your license is, how amazing that license is, it's not gonna get you there, right? So there's all these other things that are required, but having the license is a great first step. It means that you probably know how to operate that motorized vehicle. It means that you're somewhat familiar with freeways and highways and side streets and all of that. So you have a level of familiarity, which has given you a level of confidence, just like your coaching certification, which also, by the way, for those of you who are not getting coaching certifications, you instead have a level of confidence from, say, experience that you've already had as a coach. For me personally, I had almost 10 years of being a coach before I ever went and got an actual certification, before I ever went through a certification school. So I can easily argue both sides that it's beneficial and that it is not the most essential component. That's maybe where my analogy deviates from having a driver's license, because I highly recommend, if you're going to go from California to New York, that you do it legally. As of right now, coach certifications are not a requirement in order to be a coach. You can actually just go be a coach and help people without the certification. And I don't want to digress too much, but there is a lot of talk around that changing at some point, that in some future time, you'll actually be required to show that you have some kind of a certification in order to practice as a coach. But today, that's not the case. So not as essential. So here's the problem. Coaches go through, they spend a bunch of money, they get their coach certification. At this point, let's just say that it costs them $10,000 to get that coaching certification. They've went through, let's say, 30 to 80 hours worth of training, and then maybe peer-to-peer coaching, group coaching, all of that. So they come out on the other side and they are competent coaches. And then what I see happen for those that don't win, those that, let's just say, fail or struggle, they wait for the clients to come. They're great coaches, but they don't necessarily have the confidence in their abilities fully. And they give away a lot of free coaching. They're afraid to ask for actual paid clients. So instead, they just keep practicing or do it in trade, if that's you. And so that's how they justify that it's okay because I'm getting something out of it. But you know deep down that you cannot survive in this business if you don't eventually start getting paid. And you don't necessarily have an exit strategy. When do I stop doing for trade and start doing for pay? The problem is, or the challenge is, that you don't ever turn that off. You don't ever start acquiring paying clients. You're afraid to ask for the money. And it might be a variety of things. It could be that there's a fear of sales or a sales conversation. By the way, if you're on this channel at all, you'll know by now that sales doesn't have to be some big monster. It actually is just, it's an organic structure of your conversation. That's it. You might not be any good at marketing, right? It might be a piece of marketing where you don't know, how do I get the name out there? Just because you have your certification or just because you've gone through training, your specific target market doesn't yet know that you exist. They don't know how you can help them. They don't know much about you from this perspective. This is new for you, so you know it's new for them, right? And so your certification was great, but it is not going to get you there, okay? That's the first one, is putting too much importance or too much finality on your coach certification. that didn't mean that you made it. That means that you're ready to begin. Now it's time to start putting love into your business, into growing your audience or getting your brand awareness out there. How are you going to get more and more people to just know what you do and why you do it and how you do it, and ultimately get them excited to even want to talk to you in the first place? Hey, tell me more about this coaching thing, and maybe there's a way that we can work together. And then there's a sales conversation that we talked about. That's when they're actually interested in having that conversation and getting them to take action, sign up, pay you money, and let you rock and roll as a coach in the first place. And then there's also the follow-up on the back end of that. How do you get them to be reoccurring clients? How do you get them to sign up for another session or to refer their family and friends and those that they care about to do business with you? Have you told them that, hey, if you have family and friends that are in the same position that you were in before we started working together, I would be happy to give them the same care and attention that I've done for you along the way? I know I've gone really deep a little bit on this particular topic, but go on the other side for those that succeed. The 20% of the coaches that are succeeding, whether they obtained the coach certification or not, they used it as a tool, as a resource, as something that added a level of credibility. They used it as a way to get onto certain directories with certification past their name, but they didn't depend on the certification to ultimately create, grow, establish, and to succeed and thrive in their business. That's where they really put their own efforts towards whatever they needed to learn most. If they didn't know marketing, then they put levels of energy into learning marketing or social media or networking or finding ways to tie into more groups of people. They really put all of the energy into the other person and figuring out what is it that I can do in order to get them excited and interested and seeing the value in doing business with me. Now, in an upcoming video, since this has gone a little bit longer than I even wanted to go in this, it's just, this one's an important one. In the future videos that I'm going to do, this is a little bit of a teaser. I want to go over the two more really big ones. One of them is around having a plan beyond your certification. Again, I said before, this is when the work begins. This is when you are now starting to put the love into growing your business. Well, starts with a plan. And secondly, another video, or I might combine it in this with the same one, but another really important topic that I want to get into for you is actually, how do you take on an entrepreneurial mindset? It's very different than being an employee, okay? Your mindset, your conversation skills, all of that is still going to absolutely matter as you're out there growing your business, getting new clients, and having fun with what it is that you're doing. Remember back to the beginning. You did this because you had a dream, you had a vision, you wanted to help people, you wanted to serve people, and you wanted to hopefully create something on your terms. This is your business. You're a great coach. Go out there and be a fantastic coach. And until next time, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, your week, your evening, and I'll see you again soon.